And with you introducing who you are, this is typically our Wellness Wednesdays, where we want to give as much resources and information to our veteran community, whether it's for our student veterans, our veteran directors, to assist them in supporting our student veterans. And some of the information we provide on Wellness Wednesdays refers to our overall New York City veteran population and not limited to student veterans. Because of course, we also support our students in their postgraduate success. Some of the topics on Wellness Wednesdays will be involved with employment. So that's where Edge4Vets comes in. And Mr. Tom Murphy, if you don't mind introducing yourself to us.
Great, thank you, Lisa, and thank you everybody for inviting me. As Lisa said, my name is Tom Murphy, and I am the director of the Human Resiliency Institute at Fordham. We offer the Edge4Vets jobs prep program. We've been doing that since 2011 out of Fordham, but it's open to any veteran in New York City. We started it, as I said, in 2011. To date, 1,500 veterans have taken the Edge4Vets jobs prep program. We call it the regular program, where we teach veterans how to translate their military skills, and then we connect them to HR reps at our partner companies for jobs. We do that program every spring and every fall, and since 2013, Lisa and the CUNY schools have been partners with us, whereby veterans in the CUNY schools are able to take those Edge4Vets workshops. We've had great success. Many students from the CUNY schools that have taken Edge4Vets now have been connected to jobs and are working, and we're excited. We did a spring workshop series. We'll be doing another one in the fall, and we'll be working with Lisa, Neil, and the team to give you information on that program in the fall. However, the reason I'm with you today is because the tracing effort is gathering steam, and in response to that, we, Edge4Vets, has created a special tracer prep module to help veterans prepare to get a job as a tracer. Because we have a partnership already with the CUNY schools, it's a natural that we work with Lisa and her team to offer what we call Vets for Tracing. That's the new module, Vets for Tracing. Offer that this summer to CUNY veterans who want jobs, want to gain an edge to get hired as a tracer. We're going to be doing a pilot for this Vets for Tracer segment on Zoom. You see it there on the flyer, on Thursday, June 25th from 10:30 to noon. Your veterans at the CUNY schools can register at edge4vets.org. I'll go into all of that in a moment, how that will work. But let me just go back one more time and underscore for you why we're doing this special Edge4Vets program for the tracers. We know that the New York City is trying to come back from being closed. Critical to getting the city up and operating again is what they call, and Lisa referred to it, testing, tracing, and isolation. Meaning that as they ramp up testing for people to find who's positive for COVID, then they follow that testing with what they call tracing. And tracing means that they're going to be hiring an army, think of it as an army of people led by CUNY students, to help follow up with anybody who tests positive to see who was it that they might have been in contact with. That's what the tracing part will do. Now, we believe, well, we know that there are special skills that a tracer needs, but we believe that there's probably nobody better to be a tracer than a veteran, because the same skills that are needed by a tracer, meaning having an ability to analyze, an ability for leadership and ability to work as a team. Those skills that veterans develop in the military can make them ideal for a tracer job. So therefore, we're going to be developing a module that we're going to pilot June 25th to take a group of CUNY veterans within the CUNY population. And as I understand it, Lisa, they can also be CUNY alumni as well. The city is the city is looking to hire CUNY students and alumni to be tracers. And they're looking at somewhere like 1,000 or so tracers that they're going to need. Now that's fine to reach out to the CUNY students. That's wonderful. But we believe that the vets have special ability to be part of that team. And therefore, if there are veterans in your schools that want to be considered for that, we're going to be doing this pilot for a special prep course that's going to, number one, identify the skills that a tracer is going to need. And then we're in the Zoom session, we're going to work through the values and skills that veterans have developed in the military and explore with the veterans as part of that Zoom session how they can match the values and skills they developed in the military to the values and skills that the city is looking for when it hires a tracer. So as you see, our belief is that veterans have unique values and skills that can make them ideal tracers. So we're going to be piloting this course to test that idea that if we put veterans through a prep session, an Edge4Vets prep session that helps them identify their values and skills and match them to the duties required of a tracer, that a veteran looking to work as a tracer therefore can gain a special edge. So that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to reach out to the veterans who are CUNY students and alumni and say, hey, look, if you want to invest in yourself to gain an edge, we're going to show you how to create a Vets for Tracing plan for success that articulates your values and skills from the military and shows in this plan how they match to what the city is looking for in the tracers that it's looking to hire. And then we'll make a special recommendation for those vets who participate with us to the city to say, look, here are some veterans who've invested in their effort to earn a job. We can't do the hiring, but we can advocate for those who take this prep session, and we will do that. So the whole idea is on June 25th to pilot this concept that vets have special, unique abilities and values and skills to be tracers. Pilot this concept to give those vets who want to invest in themselves a chance to spend an hour and a half with us, learn how they can identify their values and skills that match to what the city's looking for. And then we turn the keys over to them and say, here's a plan for success. Take your notes from the Zoom session, type those into the spaces in the plan for success, send that to us, and we will send your plan for success to the city and advocate for you to get hired. So the whole idea here is that we believe vets can be ideal tracers, and we're putting ourselves out there, Lisa and her team and the CUNY Veterans Administration, working with Edge4Vets to say, well, let's pilot this and see how it works. We're looking to get, and Lisa will tell you, we're looking to get 20 or so vets who want to sign up for this Zoom session on the 25th. By today, we'll set it up so they can go to edge4vets.org, and on there will be a place for them to click and register with an Eventbrite that will register them with us, and then we'll send them a link to come to the June 25th Zoom session. So once they register, then we will send them a link to the Zoom session, and we're going to look for about 20 or so, the first 20 to sign up. Now, if we get more than that, say 30 sign up, 50 sign up, whatever, we'll then set up another set of waiting lists and then do another session following that. Our whole idea is to test this idea that we're on the right track, thinking that veterans can be very talented tracers And because they come with values and skills that can make them ideal tracers, and we want to do a session to prepare them and take a shot to gain that edge. So that's the concept. Again, let me go back and just say the regular Edge4Vets program that we work with you and your CUNY coordinators at the various colleges, we send you a flyer each spring and each fall that you circulate to your veterans, and they come to the regular Edge4Vets workshop, and then we prepare them for jobs with banks or with pharma companies or with media companies like CBS. We have a whole range of regular companies that we work with to prepare veterans for regular jobs in the city. And that, again, we'll be offering in the fall. But this summer, starting on June 25th, we want to pilot this special Edge4Vets program called Vets for Tracing to prepare CUNY veterans for gaining an edge to get hired as a tracer. So I hope, Lisa, that covers everything that we talked about. For anybody who is just hearing this for the first time, I am happy to take questions. The most important thing is, after today, for you to get this flyer, get it out to your veterans so that we can get a group to sign up for June 25th. And at that session, like I say, it's a Zoom session. They don't have to go anywhere. It's all online. I'll be taking them through a process to, number one, understand what the duties are required for tracing. Number two, take them through a process to identify values they developed in the military, skills they developed in the military. Then we're going to explore how those values and skills from the military can match with the skills needed to be a tracer, and therefore give them an edge to get hired. So that's the plan.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate you taking the time to explain the process. One major question that comes up for those who may be involved with finishing their studies before they obtain their degree, because the last few months have been extremely challenging, to say the least, due to COVID and quarantine and the abrupt shift to being online. So I know some students may have decided to accelerate their studies and try to finish their fall courses in the summer, as opposed to finishing in the fall of this year. So some students are slated to graduate a few months early, and they may not be ready for the contact tracing Zoom session in June. What information can you give them as far as follow-up timelines if they are interested in the fall? We're going to put this information out, and I'm sure this class will be filled for June 25th. But what about those that missed the date?
Well, I think what we want to do is, for those who missed the date on the 25th, let them know what we're trying to do. Namely, that we believe that if the city's looking to hire 1,000 tracers, and these jobs are good, I mean, they're like $50,000, $60,000 jobs or so. They're good jobs, and they're an excellent. So I understand that the tracer job is for a year. You spend a year working with the city to help get the city back to work. I mean, in addition to making good money, I think it's an ideal way to build experience that you can then go back to school if you're out of school, whatever, and leverage to get a career in another area after you finish this duty as a tracer. So the idea of being a tracer can probably have great appeal. And since they're looking to hire 1,000 in New York City alone, tracers, you can imagine how big the job is. If everybody who tests positive, you've got to go and track them down, and the city, whoever gets hired, the city is going to show them all of that. What we're looking to do is to help those veterans in the CUNY schools who want to go for this. We're looking to help the CUNY veterans get an edge to get hired. We can't do the hiring, but we believe if the veteran creates a plan for success that we'll give you that shows your values and skills and how those values and skills from the military match to the duties they're looking for, and then we advocate for you, we believe that can help you to get hired. So the concept, Lisa, is we want to test our idea. We believe firmly that veterans can make ideal tracers. That's our belief. We want to test it with this initial Zoom session on the 25th, see how it goes, and then grow it from there. So I would say to anybody who can't make it on the 25th that they should follow us, see what's being aware. They can, go and register with us. The first 20 who register, we'll be inviting them to the session on the 25th, and then we'll be keeping a waiting list of everybody else. So I would suggest that if somebody wants to take our Zoom program and they can't make that first one, Lisa, they should register anyway, so that we'll have their information and can keep them posted as you and I, Lisa, work to build the program. You see what I'm saying? The idea is to get this first one going, see how well it's received, and then build it from there. We don't know how popular it could be. It could be enormously popular, and therefore we respond to do additional sessions. But it'll be good if somebody has an interest to register, even if they can't make the 25th, because then they could join a subsequent one.
Thank you. Any questions from directors or students out there?
I have a question.
Hey, Renee.
Go ahead.
Hello, how's everybody doing? Good morning, should I say? Yes. I was hoping to get the flyer because we have a meeting later on today in the afternoon at around 3 or so, and I would like to push this information out to the veterans, that attend. And I would like to have this flyer so this way I can show it to them also while explaining to them the program, if it's possible. Thank you.
Perfect. Now, I would say, Lisa, and to Neil and to Michael and Cody, I gave you this morning the latest copy of the flyer. I would encourage you to blast that out, send it to Renee, send the flyer, the one you see on your screen here. Send that flyer out as broadly as you can to Renee and everybody else, so that as they have contact with veterans in their area, they can, as Renee is going to do, he's going to give them the flyer, but others might receive the flyer and be able to, email it out to their recipients. And then as you do all of that, folks, I'll be knowing how it goes, because as the veterans register on Eventbrite, I'll have a running tab of how many we're getting, and I can keep the team apprised. So step number one, Renee, you're on the right track. Get the flyer from Lisa and her team. Lisa, you can let me know if that's possible for you, Neil, and your team to get that flyer to Renee. And
Yes,
then,
we can.
We can keep, perfect. So,
We can.
Immediately today, you see the flyer there is on the screen. That's the flyer. And the vets will register at edge4vets.org. They go on there, and it's got a whole thing on tracing. It's actually got a little tracing video that shows how it works. And then they click on register, and it takes them to Eventbrite. And then I'm going to make sure that by this afternoon that link to the Eventbrite is working nice and smooth. So everything is nice and smooth, and people can register, and we can start keeping a tally.
Thank you. Another question that was emailed to me, I have a director that we're sending it to the listserv of our directors right after this meeting. And the main question is, how does this differ from the general New York City outreach for tracers? How does this program, how will it assist our students or give them any type of benefit or quote unquote edge?
Excellent question. Look at this session. We call it Vets for Tracing. It is a complement to everything that's offered already by the city. For example, now, if somebody sends a note to the city and says, I'd like to be a tracer, the city sends them information about what kind of duties will be expected of a tracer. The city gives them that kind of information. What this does is this operates in addition to that for the veterans. This is a veteran-specific program, a CUNY veteran-specific program. This is for veterans inside CUNY that want to gain an edge by having us take them through a process to identify their values from the military and their skills from the military that then match with those values and skills that the city is looking for in tracing. So right now, Lisa, what the city does is it tells you what values and skills they're looking for, but it doesn't give you a session to help you identify how you already have them. See, that's what we do. We feel that vets have these in a very unique way that maybe the general population doesn't, because the veterans have been in the military where they've had to do leadership, they've had to do team building, all the kinds of things that they're looking for when they hire tracers. So all we're doing is helping the veterans recognize that they possess these skills and values that match with tracing, but now we give them a chance to go and identify those and put them into a plan for success that then the evaluator on the city side who's going to do the hiring, that evaluator can look not just at a resume, but can see a plan for success from a veteran that spells out their values and skills. We believe this can give a CUNY veteran a real edge to get hired. That's our hope.
Thank you. Another question that came in is is there a cost associated with this? And if not, is there an estimated training length or any type of certification, based on once they get into the program, how does it work beyond the preparation part and application?
Yeah, good question. Edge4Vets is totally free to veterans. And when I say that, I mean the regular Edge4Vets program that we do by working with your veteran coordinators at all your schools, where each spring we give you a flyer and each fall we give you a flyer and you send that to your veterans and they come to our Edge4Vets workshop and then they get connected to jobs with banks and with pharma and with insurance companies. That program is free for CUNY veterans as well. That's totally free. We go to the companies that work with us and they become the sponsors to cover our costs. Fordham is a charity, an educational entity, so it's totally nonprofit, but we have to cover our costs, and we do that by getting the companies that want to hire the veterans to cover that cost. Now, what we're doing for this Vets for Tracing is the same thing. We're reaching out to some of our company sponsors who believe the same as we do, that veterans are ideal potential tracers, and they want to help the city. So they're helping us get this Vets for Tracing program going. So it's totally free to any veteran who takes it. And then we go out and we raise sponsors to be able to cover our cost. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. The training certification for this program, is there any association with Johns Hopkins? There's a question about the training certificate or how to train as a tracer.
Okay,
if there's
good.
any
That's
university.
Lisa, that's a very, very important question, because the way the process works, as we understand it, is the City Health and Hospitals Agency in New York, Health and Hospitals, they're the ones that are doing the hiring for tracers in New York City. They're the ones building that 1,000-person army to be tracers. And now what we're looking to do is to do this Zoom session to give CUNY veterans an edge so that those health and hospital people who are doing the hiring can look at the people who take our course and say, wow, this is a veteran who invested in themselves and created a plan for success to show us how good they are already at what we're looking for. And that's the way that we intend to give that veteran an edge. We'll advocate to the health and hospitals to say, look, this person invested their time to take this prep session, and we recommend them to you. We're looking to give the veterans an edge by advocating for them that way. Now, assuming that the health and hospitals then brings that person in for the next round of interviewing, because the way it works is they look at you and you have to pass that first bar, if you will. You have to cross that first bar, and that's what we're helping the veterans do. Get into that first group that then makes the short list to get chosen. Now, anybody in that short list has to work with Johns Hopkins that has a course that teaches you specifically what a tracer does, teaches you all the health aspects of how you operate as a tracer. That's what Johns Hopkins does. So step number one, you have to get to that level before you get into the Johns Hopkins part, where the Johns Hopkins part prepares you to be a tracer. So we're trying to help the veterans get over that first hurdle and get selected to get into that second group. That's how it works.
Great, thank you. Are there other questions? I see a few new participants.
Hello,
Yes.
Coastal Community College. So I just have a question about the as far as the employment, how long is it for? Is this will it lead into a more permanent position? Is this only temporary? If so, how long will that term be? A year, 6 months? So I could just pass that information on. Thank you.
Do you want me to try to answer that, Lisa?
Yes, please.
As I understand it from Hostess Office of Veterans Affairs, that's where the question came. As I understand it, the city is looking to hire 1,000 tracers, and that job will last a year. And it pays somewhere around $50,000 or $60,000. You can go on the city's website to learn all the details of that. But they're looking to hire 1,000 tracers, and who knows? They may need 2,000, which means we'll need to do this course more often. But right now they're saying, okay, they're going to start with 1,000, and that will last a year. And the idea is at the end of that year, then that contract to be a tracer ends, because hopefully by then we're in control of the COVID and people can go back to their regular life. But anybody who becomes a tracer, I think, is going to, number one, have a job for a year. They're going to have good money, and they're going to be gaining incredible experience that they can parlay into the next thing they do, whether they want to go into banking or they want to go into hospitals or they want to go into pharma. They're going to have this experience under their belt. And we believe that it's such a great opportunity that we want to see veterans have a chance to get an edge to get chosen. So that's what we're about.
So another question, would you advertise this mainly to students who are looking to graduate for this, our semester just ended. So within the next 2 to 3 months, if they're graduating now or they just graduated recently, is this more for that type of student as opposed to someone that's full-time or continuing?
I would leave it up to the individual, Lisa, to make a choice if they want to be a tracer and take a chance to go for it. I think that's an individual choice. However, I think the ones, and I think you told me you've got something like 235 or so who are set to graduate or have just graduated. I think for that group, this is certainly ideal, and it's certainly ideal for any CUNY alumni who maybe are looking for a great job for a year. So I would leave it to the individual, but I do think that if somebody is graduating, you might want to grab onto this.
I agree with the uncertain employment market at this time. It's very difficult to predict what
Yeah.
businesses will thrive beyond restaurants and a few other facilities, shipping, etc. But if someone is interested in working in the tracing tracking component, this is something that they should pursue.
Yeah,
Again, we will distribute this flyer, so I want to make sure we're giving an opportunity. I'm hoping, I think most of the questions that were posed were answered, but anyone else on the call that has questions about this?
Hi, Lisa. I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Laura Scazafel from College of Staten Island. Is this job something that the student can do from home, or do they have to go into like an office?
office. It's an office job. It's a real, you're working as a team. The tracers are working in conjunction with the team that is doing the testing. And once somebody tests positive, then coordinators for that team will assign the tracers to follow up with that person who tested positive to see who they've been in contact with, and then reach out to those that they were in contact with to let them know, hey, you might have COVID, you got to quarantine. So this is not something you do from home. This is something you do with a team, and that's the exciting part, I think.
Okay, thank you.
So, thank you. So that's the great thing. It's a great component to this job. It's not a matter of going to anybody's door and ringing their bell, especially in this COVID climate. They can work remotely, which is a big plus.
Yeah, well, the thing is that, you know, there's a lot of computer work. The thing is, the reason I think it's ideal for veterans is because this is what veterans have had to do when they were in the military. You got to use your head. In other words, you're presented with a problem and you have to use your intelligence to try to solve it. In other words, trying to find out, where did this person go? Who did they see? Trying to research, a lot of computer work, checking stuff out. So I think it's very exciting, and I think it's tailor-made for veterans.
I agree with that. Any other questions? Okay, Tom, any other notes that you want us to take away from this meeting?
Yes.
I think that many of the topics were covered as far as the next information session, specifically for those signing up, is on Thursday, June 25th at 10:30 via Zoom. However, it's important to register first through Edge4Vets.org. So please let us know any other takeaways that you'd like us to have.
Let me say on that point about the Zoom, Lisa.
Yes.
You're going to have to be invited to take that Zoom session on June 25th. In other words, anybody just can't go on to that Zoom. Therefore, what we need you to do is register at Edge4Vets.org, and when you do, you'll be registered. You'll click on the Eventbrite link, and then you'll register. And once you register, and it's free, but once you register, then we send you the invitation to the Zoom. So this will be a session for those who register. So we need our veteran coordinators at CUNY to get the word out to their veterans that, hey, here's an opportunity. An hour and a half, you invest in yourself. If you have any idea to be a tracer, or even if you've already applied to the city as a tracer, you still should take this course, because this is going to give you a chance to create a plan for success where you're going to learn to take notes in the Zoom session, type them into little boxes, boom, it pops out as a plan for success, and then we send that to the city to recommend that we believe that you're an excellent candidate, and we advocate for you. So I would say that, our coordinators want to get that word out. We only have 2 weeks to register people. Get word out. They can go to Edge4Vets.org and see a video about this. And then let me say also, just in closing, that as we find that we believe that this will be successful, that the idea is right on target, that vets can be ideal tracers, and we can use this course to prepare them. Because again, if the city is going to hire 1,000 and then, you know, the COVID goes up and now they got to hire 2,000, we want to be right front and center by giving veterans an opportunity to be part of that team if they want to have a job like this. So that's the purpose with the Vets for Tracing. Then let me come back and say, Lisa, we should probably do another one of these sessions later in the summer as we get ready to put together the regular Edge4Vets program to prepare your vets for jobs with all of the companies that work with us, the banks and the pharma companies, and take the regular Edge4Vets program. But we'll leave that to later in the summer. Right now, the focus should be on the tracer prep program.
I agree, and thank you for clarifying about the invite. And this is not a typical Zoom where you can just Zoom in. It's important to register first.
You don't get invited unless you register.
Awesome. So we will send out this information to everyone on the call, and those that did not get to call in. I had a few emails about conflicts. I appreciate the time that everyone took to call in. Thank you again. And to our student veteran leader at Lehman, Mr. Renee, we will send it out to you right away. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, directors. Please look out for this email showing the PDF of the flyer, and please encourage students to register. That's the main way to get invited. They must register. Thank you again.